Hi, I'm Marcus. I'd like to thank you for watching the second episode of the Culinary Cantina, a show put on by Nerd Life Productions. This week, we're making one of my favorite desserts, my Princess Peach Cobbler. So Mario is arguably my favorite video game franchise, and dessert is arguably my favorite meal. And I assure you that the Princess Peach Cobbler is an absolute crowd pleaser. So gone are the days of ordering nacho cheesy cinnamon pizza sticks when you have your friends over. Next time, make the Princess Peach Cobbler. People will love it. So one of the things I really like about this dish is that there are only 7 ingredients, and that makes it super easy and also super affordable. The first ingredient we have is a can of peaches. You're gonna need 2 of them, 15 ounces in syrup. Make sure you get them in syrup. That's really important because that syrup is actually an ingredient for the batter. The next thing you're gonna need is a stick of butter. Make sure it is not unsalted butter. You want regular butter. We then have a cup of all-purpose flour, 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder, 1/4 teaspoon salt, fine grain, a cup of regular white sugar, and 1 cup of whole milk. Now, if you wanted to cut back on the fat content of this dish, you could absolutely use 2%. I would not recommend using skim. I think skim just doesn't bake very well, so I recommend whole. Those are your 7 ingredients for the Princess Peach Cobbler. Along with only needing 7 ingredients, you only need 5 utensils to make this dish. The first thing you need is a medium-sized mixing bowl. It's a good thing to have. This one has seen some years. It's my favorite. I like them to be a little bit on the thicker side, so that's one. You're gonna need 3 tools. First thing, I'm planning on serving this cobbler a la mode, so you're gonna need an ice cream scoop, and in all actuality, you don't need an ice cream scoop. I just like the way that it curls the ice cream. You could absolutely use a spoon, so that's kind of optional. You're going to need a spatula. This one has seen some better years, but I really like the way that the spatula head works. So yeah, 1 spatula, they're pretty inexpensive. Preferably don't leave them on the stove and not pay attention. And then last, you're gonna need a whisk. We talked about the whisk in episode 1 of the Culinary Cantina about frittatas. Guys, bachelor pad, you need a whisk. I know it's a cooking utensil that not a lot of people have, but they're inexpensive and I find myself using them all the time. So a whisk, super important. And then the actual baking dish. This is a 9x12 baking dish. I know it's something that a lot of people don't have, but we're gonna be making casseroles and other desserts. The 9x12 is a vital cooking utensil. So pick up a 9x12, pretty inexpensive. So before we start mixing our ingredients together, we need to make sure we preheat our oven to 350. Not only are we baking the dish in the oven, but we need to melt the butter. The first thing we're gonna do is take our medium-sized mixing bowl, add our 1 cup of flour, like that, baking powder, and salt. Then we're gonna take our whisk and just kind of beat these 3 ingredients together before we add the other ones. You could also use a rising flour, baking flour for this, but I just figure I always have all-purpose flour, so just making it with the baking powder and the salt is a lot easier. And add the sugar. Now we're gonna add our 1 cup of whole milk. So in goes the 1 cup of whole milk. And we also need the juice from one of these cans of peaches. So we're gonna crack that open, just open it a little bit, and in goes the juice. All right, and then we're gonna mix this together. And while I'm mixing, I wanna make sure that I don't have any lumps in this batter. So you want your batter to be thick-ish, which I know is a great descriptive word, but I would just really say you want it to be kind of towards the consistency of pancake batter. All right, so now we're gonna take our pan with the butter in it and put it into our preheated oven. Again, you want the temperature of that oven to be 355 degrees. All we're looking for here is for the butter to melt and evenly coat the bottom of the pan. Then we're gonna pull it out, bring it back here, and put the batter on top of the butter. So let's put this guy in the oven. All right, so pan's out of the oven, butter's melted. You kind of have to act quickly here because you don't want the butter to set again, especially if you have a colder room that you're cooking in. So we're gonna take the batter, pour it in over top of the butter. All right, so now if some of your butter raises to the top when you pour the batter over, don't worry about it. I know it doesn't look great now, but I promise it'll look good later. One of the things I like about this dish, and the reason I call it my Princess Peach Cobbler, is because obviously I'm a huge Mario fan. And I'll always remember my sister and I didn't used to get along so well when I was younger, but we would always get together and play Mario, and that was kind of our thing where we could come together. So it was really cool. And I think cobbler is just a really comfortable food. It's kind of a soulful food. And for people like me, and I think people like you, a lot of the people who are watching that video, playing video games as a kid was kind of that same experience. So I think the name goes well with it. So after this, we're going to drain our peaches. We've already drained one can, we're going to drain the other, and then the peaches are going to get spread on top. All right, so now I'm just going to individually take these peaches and put them into the cobbler. Now you could just dump them in for kind of a more country rustic feel or chop them up, but I think just individually setting them each in there does a really great job of making sure everyone who tries the cobbler gets a nice bite of peach. All right, so the peaches are in, they're evenly distributed, and yeah, so we're ready to go into the oven. Again, you want to make sure that your oven's preheated all the way up to 350, and the peach cobbler is going to go in for about an hour. You want to make sure that it's fluffy and that the dough is risen up and starts to cover the peaches over. That's how you know you're done. You want a nice light brown crust on top. All right, so our hour's up, and we're going to take a look here. Oh, it looks and smells great. There we go. Perfect. Oh yeah. And you can see it's bubbling, and the dough has risen just perfectly up and over the peaches. So I'm going to let this sit for a couple minutes and just kind of settle before I dish it out, because I don't want it to be a hot, sloppy mess. So we're going to give it probably between 3 and 5 minutes to settle and cool down, and then we're going to plate. All right, so we've let it set for a couple minutes. It stopped bubbling. The dough has even risen up a little bit more. So now we're going to plate. So I'm just going to go get a nice big scoop out of here, like that. Now remember, this is cobbler, it's not cake. So it's not going to be super clean, it's going to be a little messy, and that's all right. I'm just going to pull this center section out. Yeah, just like that. And he's going to go right in here. And, you know, this dish is really warm, so I think it would be a terrible waste of an opportunity if we didn't serve it a la mode. So I'm going to get some vanilla ice cream, just like that. Perfect. Just put a big scoop. So there you have it, your Princess Peach Cobbler. I promise your friends are going to love it.
Overall, it tastes pretty good, man. The ice cream that you bought here complements the dough very well.
Well, Will, what do you think?
It's good. I'm liking it. I like the big chunks of peaches. I usually have cobbler of much smaller stuff, so it's good.
Right on. So it's a hit with the crew. I hope that you guys like it. Leave your comments below on what you experimented with. And make sure to tune in next episode of the Culinary Cantina.
It's not quite as crunchy as I like my cobbler to be.
Dude, don't say that on the review. What are you doing?
Come on.
I'm going to beat you.